Hey guys, it's Andres here. You can go ahead and call me by my nickname Andy, and today I will be doing another video to the series on beating the meta as a Phantom Knights player. Today I bring you guys with Prank Kids. Just like the other videos, I'm going to do a breakdown of the deck, their win condition, where to hand trap them, and some replays analysis where I go over my experience with playing against the deck. This deck is very interesting because, funny enough, this was the finals of the Dragon Rider Games tournament. Phantom Knights versus Prank Kids. Prank Kids ended up getting first place, and Prank Kids also ended up getting first place at the Luxury Games tournament as well. And I also got featured in this matchup on the DV Grinders channel as well. Shout out to him for featuring one of my replays. But yeah, so what the deck mainly likes to do is that they rely a lot on their normal summon, being able to successfully summon in the first place, and then going off into the Link monster, Meow, Meow Meow, and then the graveyard effect would then trigger to just start spamming out different attribute Prank Kids monsters, and then they effectively link climb into Doodle Doo, which allows them to search out the Prank Kids fusion spell, and then the Doodle Link monster can also target the two Prank Kids cards they just had in their graveyard, and then also add them back into their hand. So they basically effectively get back the materials they used to link climb into the Doodle Doodle. The deck also plays fusion monsters such as the Rocket Ride and the Weather Washer to get back their Prank Kids monsters so they can have the fusion fodder for the Battle Butler. What Battle Butler is basically a Raigeki on your turn. So they like to set up the ability to have either the fodder for the Battle Butler in hand or on field, preferably in hand, because so then that way you can't mess with them on field because it's a lot harder to get rid of them in hand than it is on field. And then the Meow Mew Link monster lets them use the effect of Battle Butler twice, since if a Prank Kids monster were to tribute itself, you can go ahead and banish Meow Mew in place of tributing the monster itself, so it gives the deck a double Raigeki during your turn. And then after being able to establish little to no board presence on your turn, they hope to proceed to OTK you with either the means through Nightmare Unicorn and then link climbing up into an Access Code Talker. And then they can also put up Totally Awesome as extra negation because the Dropsies is a level 2 water monster as well. So how do you go about beating the deck? So the deck is pretty tough. Your best hand trap to use against them is Ash Blossom because they rely so much on being able to successfully get out the different attribute Prank Kid monsters, I should say, from their deck or hand. And if you negate that first monster, they have to rely on either having the possible instant fusion in hand, triple tactics talent, pot of desires, just to kind of get to the Prank Kids pranks continuous spell card because it lets them special summon out a Prank Kids token. So they could effectively go into Meow Meow, get out the token, and proceed to go into the Doodle Doodle to search off their Prank Kids fusion spell. So Ash Blossom is decent against them, but at the same time they have ways to play around it. Also, the Prank Kids place allows them to search for a Prank Kids monster, and effectively, even if you do Ash Blossom this field spell, they could end up having a Prank Kid monster in hand, which is gonna suck. It turns out to like that invoked scenario where they always have Alistair in hand, even if you negate the meltdown, or they even always have invocation in hand, that kind of sort of thing. But yeah, so not only does the Prank Kids place allow them to search, but it allows them to effectively chain block their first Prank Kids monster effect. So that way it's guaranteed to pretty much go off, unless if you have Called by the Grave set face down and they're going second against you. The deck is also known to run Gamma, but however, in the first place deck list I've seen, both of the winners of the LCS and the Dragon Rider Games tournament did not run Gamma, but other players still do. So it's kind of just like you can see it in Prank Kids, but it's not always guaranteed. Effect Veiler, Imperm, they're decent, but they don't follow the Prank Kids monster in the grave though. So they can still use the effects of their Prank Kids monster. But it does hit things like Doodle Doodle, the let's see here, pretty much just the Doodle Doodle. The effect Veiler would hit the Doodle Doodle Ghost spell on its second effect, which allows them to target 2 Prank Kids monsters that they link climbed their way up into this, so it does hit that. Since it adds from graveyard to hand. And then Imperm is decent against the Battle Butler. I would say decent though, because maybe let's say you want to go main phase, you side in your spell and trap card removal, such as Twin Twisters and Cosmic Cyclone, and then you go ahead and bait out the Pandemonium, and then you go ahead and Imperm the Battle Butler. That's not a bad way about doing so. Just keep in mind though that they do side in hate for spell and trap removal, such as Imperial Order and Anti-Spell. So just be wary of that. And also you can hit them in the standby or draw phase with your spell and trap removal, because it's good to hit them there because the Pandemonium itself can only be activated during the main phase. So Chalice and Droplet is also decent because it prevents the Battle Butler from doing double Raigeki. Chalice is only okay though. The reason why it's only okay is because they can chain the Battle Butler twice. So because its graveyard effect of being sent to the graveyard is the hard ones per turn. The effect of being able to Raigeki your board isn't a hard once per turn. So if you go Chalice onto the Battle Butler, they can just chain its effect again if they have the Meow in the graveyard. Or if they already used the Meow, I should say, to in place of tributing itself, and then they can just chain its effect to tribute the Battle Butler off itself. Anti-Spell and Imperial Order is pretty good against them going first, just because they play a lot of spell cards to be able to search for their Prank Kids monsters. You can draw power through Pot of Desires, through continuous spell cards, so it puts a lot of work in against this deck. Gyoza Match is also a very good floodgate against this deck because all of them are different attribute monsters and all our Phantom Knight cards are pretty much dark monsters. So we have a good advantage over them thanks to this floodgate in that aspect. Nibiru is also decent against them because they'll have to rely on whatever Prank Kid monsters they have in hand to be able to successfully fusion summon the Battle Butler. And then Called by the Grave is also decent since you just use it on their first Prank Kids monster. They link off into the Meow monster. And they have to rely on having either the continuous spell card as special summon out a token, or possibly try an instant fusion play to continue link climbing into the Doodle Doodle Link monster. But yeah, the deck is pretty annoying to go up against. They have multiple ways of countering their own weak spots, such as in the Ash Blossoms, the Effect Veilers, the Ghost Spells, and they have different effective ways of chain blocking. So I can see why this deck got first place at the Dragon Rider Games Tournament and the Luxury Games Tournament. It's a very powerful deck. They get a lot of advantage over just one normal summon, which is kind of insane when you think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna be proceeding now with some replays I'll analyze of me playing against the deck. So I'll see you guys there. Alright guys, so here is some footage from my LCS round 6 match I had. We only have one loss up until this point, so we should be 5-1. I pretty much have full combo from here. He doesn't have any hand traps, so I pretty much am able to put out a Dragoon Appaloosa with this board. Reason I dump the gloves first is because in case if he has Nibiru, I can go ahead and get back out the Rusty once it's special summoned. In case if he nibs, actually, sorry, not that. Of course, obviously he's gonna get special summoned. Yeah, go make an Appaloosa for 3. Go ahead and dump Sword since he didn't end up using Nibiru against me or any hand trap yet. Bring back the cloak specifically because I already I want to get the boost onto Rusty Bardiche. Oops. But yeah, I don't know I'm up against Prank Kids at this point, so I do make a slight error. I should have went for a Break Sword instead, and also dump a keep the Rusty in hand would have been better. Or no, not the Rusty in hand. Somehow dumping out like a Fog Blade would have been nice because if I had known this was going to be Prank Kids, I would have tried to interrupt their normal summon for turn because they try to get so much advantage off of just their first normal summon. And then he draws into Tactics for his fucking top deck, which is going to suck for me because he's going to also get out his Prank Kids place. And then I pretty much have to negate this in my opinion, because if I don't, he's going to start chain blocking me and my Appaloosa isn't really going to put in that much work. So he's going to force out the negate from me. Then see, he just ends up snatch stealing my my Dragoon, which sucks, because now I basically lose my Appaloosa from here. And this is where he just starts to go off. So even if I was able to get a Break Sword out, I think he would kind of see the play I was trying to make, because he ended up having Call by the Grave in hand anyway, so I guess it really didn't matter that much in hindsight, but just for like future references, I need to start making note of that. But yeah, see, he's gonna tag out now in the standby draw phase, so that way he doesn't play into the like a Triple Tactics Talon or whatnot. So he pretty much has the his fodder now in hand, which is gonna suck. Then see, now he's going to effectively see here. I'm gonna attempt to use Rusty Bardiche, and then he's going to go ahead and chain Droplet, so he's going to use the fusion spell itself as fodder to stop my Rusty Bardiche effect. And then I'm going to still try to be able to play it out from here. I normal summon Torrent Scales. I bring out the Break Sword, attempt to try to pop itself. He stops, he gets rid of my 2 level 4s with the effective Battle Butler. I'm still going to keep on trying to play it out. I go ahead and add a Boots. I still haven't used my Torrent Scales effect, so I'm going to pitch a Fog Blade to bring back a Torrent Scales, Break Sword effect to pop itself, and I'm going to try to Arc Rebellion here, but it's not going to be enough because I think the total attack on this would have been let me see in chat. Yeah, not that much. It wouldn't have been enough for game. But yeah, he's just gonna Nightmare Unicorn me, I believe, here. Eventually, after he searches out his last Prank Kid spell trap cards. Like, yeah, also here I noticed that I was on Twitch having commentary by Thunder Theory and Ryan Yu. And so yeah, I have pretty much the one card tour guide combo. I showed this to Julio actually, and I can't believe it. I never thought about this before. But yeah, so I pretty much am able to get off the combo with 4 unknown cards in hand, which is pretty good. And I also drew into the anti-spell. The reason why I go for Torn Scales, double Torn Scales here, is because I have the Ancient Cloak in hand, unfortunately. So I just figured that, okay, if I need to like end up using my Torn Skills right away instead for a Link summon on my next turn instead of an Xyz summon, I at least have another Torn Skills in the graveyard I can get some kind of recursion out of. And then I just hopefully hope that um I hope that I'm able to end up using the Cloak as discard fodder if in case he has some kind of removal for it. So that way I could go ahead and get into the graveyard so I can search out a Boots on my next turn in case he's not able to break my board. As you can see with my tour guide, I was able to end up with 4 unknown cards in hand because all the Boots search I ended up using as discard fodder for the Torn Skills. So pretty much he doesn't know what I have waiting for him, which is pretty good when you're able to successfully resolve that combo. I'm going to chain Anti-Spell to try to bait out the droplets, I guess, or at least I wouldn't know he has droplets, but I guess bait out any type of like spell or trap hate, so that way I can go ahead and use Dragoon effect and he won't be able to triple tactics talent me because it has to be during the main phase. And so yeah, so then he really didn't have any other follow-up after negating the Doodle Doodle Link monster. So yeah, so here's game 3. He's gonna go first, and my hand is pretty bad a little bit because he's gonna have enough recursion to get draw power out of me. So he does have the instant fusion, and he's gonna go into Doodle Doodle again, but now I have the ghost spell for him, and he'll still be able, after all those negations, be able to add back the different attribute Prank Kids monsters to his hand, so that way he can go into the Battle Butler since it requires the different attribute Prank Kid monsters. And he's also going to be able to make a fucking Totally Awesome, which also sucks, honestly. So even my Twin Twisters is going to be semi-dead here because he has the Totally Awesome waiting for me. He does not have the fusion spell though, which is good. He's gonna go Totally Awesome here. And then I feel like maybe I might have made an error here. Maybe I should have kept the Ancient Cloak as in hand for a normal summon, but it's up to you to decide on that, you know. Honestly, I wanted to bait out the his back row first. It was just like having the Seer as discard fodder really messed me up because I'm not really sure if I would have discarded the Seer or the Psychic Tracker. You could make an argument for um if I it's just like how should I explain this? You could make the argument I should have discarded the Seer instead, So that way I have normal summon and then special summon out the tracker to go into the Cherubini. And then go into my Rusty Bardiche. But either way, he had the Forbidden Chalice, which made things very difficult. So yeah, I go into a Break Sword here to bait out the Unknown. Then he asks me for Arc Rebellion and its effect. A little bit smart on his part. Him negating the not negating the Brick Sword, because if he would have kept Brick Sword on field, I think I would have gone for like a what would have I done? There's not really much I could do, honestly, with what I'm limited with in hand. Because even if I would have like went detached the gloves and then used gloves effect to mill something from my deck, there's not really much I could mill. Even if I do go Break Sword into Verte. Plus, these can't be destroyed by card effects. Sorry about that, I have to take a small pause. But yeah, so I'm really limited on what my kind of plays were at this point since I discarded the Seer. I mean, I guess I could have maybe gone to Cherubini, but what could Cherubini do at that point? I guess maybe send off a gloves, but it just would have ended up being the same. The really bad part was I had to burn out my cloak effect in the first place. Here I was thinking that like maybe I could go Access Code Talker, but I keep forgetting. I realize now that they can't be destroyed by card effects. So that's why I searched out the Shade Brigandine. But yeah, I ended up losing that one. Little bit of an awkward hand in my part due to having the Tracker, Seer, and the Ancient Cloak. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the other replay. Alright guys, and then here's a replay where I play against a Prank Kids player in a Winamat side event at the DRG tournament. So I pretty much have a decent opening hand. I do play around the Gamma by setting a card before using the Cherubini effect. And he does go spell my my Cherubini. Here I get rid of the Gamma because it's better. I want to keep my Rusty on field as long as possible. I don't mind that he effect Veilers it, but getting rid of my Rusty with Gamma kind of makes it so I can bring it back, easily with the Monster Reborn. But the thing is though, as soon as it gets removed from the field, it'll get removed from the field, whether it be compulsory evacuation device to the hand, or like it gets destroyed by card effect, etc. And so then here I'm trying to bait out the effect Veiler by doing the Leviair play. I do boost up my Rusty. Then I specifically go for Break Sword, so then that way I can set up Disruption and pop the first Prank Kids monster he tries to normal summon. And here he does use the effect Veiler on me, then I switch out the Fog Blade with that. So then on summon, I'll try to pop it. He ends up top decking into Monster Reborn, which I end up ghost spelling. And then this hand is decent. Would have been bad if he drew into Prank Kids monster, but he just drew into a bunch of different traps. Then here he decides to Solemn Judgment the Verte on summon, surprisingly enough. Yeah, normal combo from here. He doesn't decide to affect Veiler the Rusty, weirdly enough. Not really sure why in that instance. But yeah, I can tell he's got nothing, so I just keep on poking him from there. And then a little bit of a misplay on my part, I do end up playing into the Nibiru while trying to remove his field. In reality, I could have just won this by attacking for game on my turn. I was a little bit sleepy on my part as well, so realistically I should have just attacked for game at that point instead of just being fearful, because kids don't really run torrential. I guess that's what I had thinking in my head, but I really should have made a better meta call, because what could they really run? Honestly, that's relevant. So let me just go ahead and bring you the third meta. And then this here is a replay where I go up against one of like the top 10 most highest rated players on Dueling Book. I end up winning the die roll. He ends up not using Gamma on the Cherubini, which could have hurt a lot, honestly, since I would not be able to like link off into the Rusty Bardiche. I mean, I guess I still could have if he would have Gammaed me on the Cherubini effect, because I could have gone the Torn Scales, Stained Greaves, and Danger, but Danger could risk me drawing into more of the bricks inside my deck, so that would not have been like the most optimal play. So his hand trap use, I guess, to be fair, he probably doesn't really go up against a whole lot of Phantom Knights, because there's only like me, Julio, Aura Luster, and like maybe 2 or 3 other people that actually use Phantom Knights in high-rated Dueling Book, but that's about it. So he decides to Gamma here on the Rusty. I guess he's fearful I might have extra level 3 extenders, so that's why he holds it off for Rusty. And here I just go ahead and recycle my Cloak with Leviair and go into the Dragoon from here. And then here, I'm not a fan of burning for the opponent for driver. The reason why I don't like that is because it makes any other Gamma they have in hand live, which you can see is very applicable to this scenario. Because let's see if you have the field spell out, you could have baited my Dragoon Negate with the field spell and then use the other Gamma in hand to bring back the driver in the graveyard. So that's why I'm not a fan of burning both the Gamma and the driver on field for extra damage, when I know in the long run I'll get better use off of just letting the driver get banished. And then so here what he's trying to do is that he wants to chain block his Prank Kids monster effect by normal summoning out a Prank Kids monster and then special summoning out the token. Or no, he goes the continuous spell first and then brings out the token and then tries to go into the Doodle Doodle. But he realizes that's just not going to be enough after I Fog Blade his Doodle Link monster, so he just gives up from there. I open up a weird hand against him. Phantasme does help me unbreak it, so I have a decent ability to try to establish a board. At least I have a PK name in hand and the Droplet. So like yeah, so he already has double fusion spell in hand. And then he's just gonna get more recursion afterwards. And then he's gonna be able to add back his Prank Kids monsters due to the effect of the Bow Wow Bark during my standby phase. So he does effectively have a polymerization as like bait, I guess, as well as double Pandemonium, and also Pandemonium is not a hard once per turn. So you're going to see how that comes into play here. So I try to chain droplets by discarding a monster to the Battle Butler, but he unfortunately has another Pandemonium, so that effectively does enable him to Raigeki my board once more because it's not a hard once per turn on the Raigeki effect. I'm going to try to play it out from here, but I realized I've got nothing that could make me win, so I ended up scooping there. Here, he would have ended my turn had he well, I guess in both scenarios, it could have been bad, but he really would have beat me, I feel like, if he would have just Ash Blossomed my tour guide. I guess he was assuming I had another level 3 extender, but Graf puts in a lot of work in this deck though. And he also doesn't decide to Ash the Graf, he instead decides to Ash the Rusty. He has Skullmeister for the Seer, and then I triple tap his talents to decide how to proceed further with my combo. And here I am though able to establish a Dragoon at least. So I do have the set up the two for the Rusty Pop Disruption with Break Sword. And then I do have Anti-Spell for his Fusion and the Triple Tactics talent. So yeah, he ends up manning defeat. So this is why I was saying before about don't be afraid when you're going up against someone who's highly rated, whether it be like someone who's competed at national championship events, you know. I mean, they're all beatable, you know. You've seen Julio beat Jake Quincy on his stream. You know, me beating one of the top 10 Dueling Book rated players like Emptiness on when he's playing Ignister, or this guy when he's on Prank Kids, you know. And, you know, every deck is beatable. But, yeah, so that's all I gotta say for now. Oh, by the way, this weekend, July 31st, I will be playing in the Chalice Line Monthly, and the reason why I haven't been doing any Dueling Book live streams this week is because I got a surprise reveal for the type of version of Phantom Knights I'm going to be playing in the tournament. Let's just say it's going to be different from the Dragoon version I've been playing with ever since last format and this format. Let's just say that it's going to be like Julio's when he tried going back to Requiem this week. It's going to be different, and I plan to hopefully do well in the event tomorrow. But that's all I'll have to say for now. I want you guys to be surprised by what I have planning to show you guys in the tournament and what I'll be playing with. But it's going to be a Phantom Knights version, but it's probably not going to be one you guys expect. But yeah, I'll go ahead and see you guys then for the live stream tomorrow.